Hello, hello. Welcome to another shared news from home. We are live today to update you all on the very latest Bachelor Nation news. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. I'm joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta. Gabby, how are you? I haven't seen you yet this week. Happy Wednesday. What's new?
Yeah, thanks so much, Fiona. Hope you're having a good week so far. Just a couple days left. It's been so cold and kind of gloomy in LA, but I think it's nice because it's normally very, very hot, so we're kind of getting a break this week.
Oh my goodness. Literally, I have been beaming all day because it has been cloudy. We haven't had to turn our AC on. It has been such a break from the norm. Once it gets hot in LA, you guys, it's game over. The summer starts and then it feels like it is never ending, but we really can't complain. We are blessed.
Mhm.
All right, listen, Gabby. There is, as usual, never a dull week in Bachelor Nation. And this week is no exception. We've got some really interesting headlines today, you guys. I have to say, I was a bit surprised by multiple of them. Let's just kick things off with the one that shocked me the most. We got a very unique prediction from Bachelor Nation's own Blake Horstmann. If you guys remember Blake, he was a little controversial during his time in Paradise, and he is back to stir things up yet again. He predicts that the demise of the franchise is imminent. In fact, he thinks we will never see another Bachelor, another male lead on the series again. This all came out during an Instagram Q&A he hosted. He was asked by a fan if he thinks the show will last forever. He started it off pretty simple, saying, no, because nothing lasts forever. But his thoughts didn't end there. He added, bold statement here, I think there won't be another Bachelor season. I think it's going to end after Michelle Young. So he straight up thinks that we're getting Katie, we're getting Michelle, and then it's just going to be over. Gabby, I don't know what to make of this because we have been covering it and covering it and covering it. The franchise has had some controversy. We need to press the reset button. We need to start fresh. But why is it ending? We haven't even had a chance to do that yet. What do you think got him to this point, and do you agree with it?
That is very interesting. He might be on to something here, though, because when I think back to Matt James's season, everyone was excited to have another Bachelor again since Peter's season and since we saw Claire and Tasha's season kind of go crazy. But we were all just excited to have a normal Bachelor season again with Matt James. And then pretty much halfway through, things kind of went south. And then leading up to that, after the final rose, everyone was on the edge of their seat waiting to see how the story was going to end and how the franchise was going to handle everything. So I don't know, because right from the start of Matt James's season, like episode 1, all the loyal Bachelor fans tuned in, and then once you started watching, you kind of couldn't stop, even though a lot was going on behind the scenes that was controversial. So I don't know. I think they are running full speed ahead with jumping into these Bachelorette seasons and Bachelor in Paradise. But it might be that the ratings really do go down because of all the issues that they've had. And so a lot of the loyal viewers, if they don't tune into that first episode, then they're not going to be hooked and they're not going to want to keep watching all of it like we normally do. So that could be a very real possibility.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point you raise. It's sort of like if you don't get hooked in the beginning, just the rate I think at which these shows are talked about online, it is almost impossible to avoid at least seeing some spoilers. If the whole thing's gonna just be kind of happening via Twitter for you, what's the inclination to like really tune in unless you are excited? So I don't know, you raise a good point, Gabby. It is a little stressful. He did shed some light on, his thought process here. He said, whether you think it's right or wrong, whatever your stance on the Chris Harrison thing, so kind of calling out specifically amid all of the discussions, Chris's piece, he said, I think it drove a lot of loyal fans and viewers away, and I think ratings are going to plummet. That's my prediction. So what's interesting that I actually hadn't thought about, I mean, we've talked about Chris and what happened, and the backlash, and the apologies, and it all so many times on this channel. I know there are so many opinions on every stage of the Chris Harrison controversy up until literally today. But one thing I hadn't thought of is you have two very distinct camps that both could be upset over the same issue, but different sides, right? Some people were really, really disappointed in Chris's behavior, disappointed with the way the franchise is moving right now, really looking for change, and just maybe not feeling super excited for what's to come next. They want to take a break. They want, some great headlines about all the progress the franchise is making, and then they might get excited again. And then on the flip side, you also have the people who are upset because Chris Harrison's not going to be back next season. So, Gabby, we're finding ourselves in a bit more of a predicament than I thought we were in until he said this.
Exactly. And I think the producers have thought about this, though, and I think they're one step ahead of this issue because they chose someone like Katie from Matt's season to be the Bachelorette, because she was the fan favorite for almost the entire time that she was on the season. So I think they really had a good strategy when they were deciding to move on and move forward with the series in another season, because they were thinking, okay, who stuck around to watch all of Matt James's season? Most of those women and those viewers love Katie. So let's choose Katie, give her own season. Hopefully all of the Katie fans will come back for this season, and hopefully they can retain some of those loyal viewers that way. But you make a great point about Chris Harrison. There's some Chris fans out there who are, vowing to not watch the show if he's not there. But I think they also made a great move by choosing Tayshia and Kaitlyn Bristowe to come host, because those are another two women who are amazing names in Bachelor Nation, have a huge following, have been on multiple versions of the show, have done hosting themselves. So I think that's a great pick. And those people out there who are loyal Kaitlyn and Tayshia fans, hopefully, if people are still not a fan of everything the Bachelor franchise is doing, they're going to come back to watch their girls, kill it on the show. So
yeah, there's definitely, listen, the producers behind the scenes, certainly, I think they're at the drawing board. They're figuring out what to do next. And they have created, a very successful franchise, right? Flaws and all, it has been monstrously successful. So I do think that there's probably some sort of plan in place. That's another really great point. Tayshia just was the Bachelorette. Kaitlyn just killed it on Dancing with the Stars. They are fresh in people's minds, and people absolutely love them. So I do have very high hopes. You guys, let us know in the chat what you think of Blake's comments, because at the end of the day, it just got us thinking. I think it got a lot of people talking. It got a lot of people thinking, maybe made some people nervous. Fans have definitely been letting Blake know their thoughts. He's been getting a lot of social media comments and interactions. He actually felt the need to address it on his Instagram story. In typical Blake fashion, we do have a clip for you here to watch, so I'm going to let our producer get that ready. Blake is just such a I don't know how to even describe him, Gabby. Like, he's just Blake, just one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see what he had to say.
Do with current contestants, past contestants. Wow, I didn't think this would be this big of a deal. Just have an opinion. Nothing lasts forever, guys. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the show lasts another 20 years. I make my living off of the show. I have a podcast about.
So he hopes he's wrong, but you know what? He's passionate at the very least. So very interesting. We, of course, only time will tell, you guys. We can't look into a crystal ball as much as we wish we could to see the future of the franchise. So for now, we're all just going to be waiting to see how well I think Katie's season does right at the start is going to be fairly telling. Obviously, the excitement coming off of that, how well Paradise is going to do. We still have Michelle's season to get through. So we do have 3 scheduled seasons before it would even be possible to do another Bachelor season. So he thinks no more male leads. Only time's going to tell. We're going to have to wait this one out and be patient. It's an interesting thing to think about in the meantime. You guys, if you are just joining us live for the very first time, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button and ring the bell, because the only way we can keep you updated on all of these developing stories is if you subscribe and watch along with us. So make sure you do that if you haven't already. Gabby, next up, This is another one that like has thrown me for a loop. We need to revisit something we have discussed before because there are some really interesting theories circling right now. A little while back, Blake Moynes, I believe is how you say his last name, from Claire/Tayshia's season, was of course spotted in New Mexico on Katie's set in her bubble. And at the time, I know we definitely unpacked all the possible reasons he could be there. You guys, I mean, obviously there's the obvious. He could somehow have joined the season as a contestant. He also could be there to, you know, give advice, which we've seen people do in the past. But at the time, I remember thinking like, I don't know, he didn't win, like kind of random pick to give advice. I'm not so sure I get it. Gabby, what did your gut tell you when those photos came out? What do you think he's doing in the bubble?
Oh, I think he's definitely there to date Katie. I think after his time with Claire and Tayshia, he really got close to those women and felt a connection, thought it was going to go a little bit farther than it did. So I think he truly believes in the process and he's actually there to find love because it just seems like he's very genuine. So I think when he was watching Matt James' season, he probably saw Katie and thought she was amazing. And, you know, ask the producers if he could shoot his shot or appear on the show, similar to a Heather Martin and Matt James situation. Hopefully he goes a little bit farther than Heather did.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually really interesting, Gabby. Obviously, we did see Heather Martin pop up at the gate, try to come in. It created a little bit of drama. It definitely was something we all talked about as fans quite a bit. I wonder if producers sort of noticed the buzz that created, the questions it caused, you know, all the rumors. Obviously, all of that is great publicity for the show, so you definitely could be onto something there, that this may be something we start to see more frequently. And once the new lead is announced, former contestants who didn't succeed, not saying they want to wait till Paradise, being like, you know what, I like that person. Get me on that season. Which, you know what, I'm kind of here for. I wouldn't mind if this became sort of a recurring theme in the seasons. I don't know if I would always want it to go as poorly as it did for poor Heather, but I could be open to seeing more of this. What about you?
Yeah, me too. I think it really shows, again, how genuine someone is because if they're really trying to go after a specific person, normally when you date somebody, you're attracted to them or you think they're great, or if you've met them before or if you're friends with them, you know, you already have qualities that you see that you like and you want to pursue. So it maybe, you know, makes more sense for someone like them to end up as a match than someone totally random like a blind date. So I honestly think Katie and Blake might be great together.
Yeah, I am totally with you. And this is what has people talking. This is the evidence, if you will. Blake has had 0 Instagram activity since late March. And before then, he posted very frequently. Like we're talking once, maybe twice a week. He has grown a pretty big following for himself. He seems to love to connect with people online. So this 0 social media to me either signals, you know, a few things, right? He's either taking a cleanse, which we do see people do, but this would be a pretty long one. Or he is, I mean, in New Mexico, potentially still there, still competing. A finalist, if you will. I mean, we've got to be nearing the end. It's been a while now that we know she's been there filming. Do you think that's possible, Gabby? Could Blake have not only totally called producers up or called Tayshia up and said, I want to shoot my shot, but then almost go all the way here, win this thing? Or, you know, win is a weird word, but you know what I mean. Walk away together.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a possibility. I think that looking at Instagram activity is always something that us Bachelor detectives do. And I do think, or I feel like the producers and the contestants should be aware of that. So maybe if Blake, you know, didn't make it very far on the show, but he was there for a little bit, it seems like a good strategy would be to just completely stay off Instagram until the ending of the filming, so then you at least have fans in Bachelor Nation thinking you might have stayed longer just to sort of stir things up a little bit. Or he very well could be there to the end and they're still filming and he's a finalist. I think that would be really fresh and exciting because a lot of people from other seasons or surprise guests and things like that don't really make it far. It's kind of just for the wow factor of that. But if there's a real connection, he could certainly have stayed for a long period of time.
Yeah, and I mean, just like breaking it down to personality wise, I actually really see them together. It makes sense to me. I did like Blake. He wasn't like my number one favorite I was rooting for, but I liked him overall. And I think there's something about their sense of humor, if you know where I'm going, that could really work. I think we learned in some post-credit scenes that Blake was into a little bit more, if I remember correctly, like R-rated flirtatious humor than we always saw. And listen, you guys, if you go on Katie's TikTok, she is totally one of those people who owns that type of humor. So I don't know. To me, it makes sense. I could see them really hitting it off. What about you, Gabby?
That's a good point. I did forget about how like flirty and just goofy Blake was and R-rated, like you said, which we know Katie is as well, considering how she entered, her first steps into the Bachelor franchise. So I think they'll definitely play off of that a lot about what they're going to show on TV, and just genuinely they're going to connect based on their sense of humor like that.
So interesting, you guys. I think this could be a really fun twist to her season. We, of course, want to know what you think. Our question of the day, you guys. Do you think Blake is going to be a finalist in Katie's season? Let us know in the chat. We're going to pin the best response. And also, you guys, make sure you're sending any questions, comments, thoughts you have throughout the stream, because at the end, we are going to try to get to as many of them as possible. So any thoughts, send them our way. We're going to try to get to you at the end. Next up, we have quite an update from another one of the men of Tayshia's season. It has been a fun Wednesday, Gabby. Bennett just stopped by Ben Higgins and Ashley I's podcast, and he revealed that he is totally into Kelley Flanagan. Now, if you have been following his social media activity, he's been making it kind of clear with some flirty comments, likes, etc. for a little while now. He started kind of engaging with her publicly online in March. On the podcast, he said, quote, "I've been pretty upfront and honest and intentional with my interests, and it's with one lady. Her name is Kelley Flanagan. Certainly quite interested in Kelley." I'm telling you guys, I can literally hear him saying that. He explained why she's captured his attention, saying she's obviously a very, very smart girl. She's very well spoken. I think our journeys and the way that it sort of played out on TV are quite similar, which gotta hand it to him. Yep, definitely unique experience they both shared. This is interesting to me. He is 36. He lives in New York. If you remember, he's a financial planner. Kelley is 29, moving to New York, and a lawyer. I don't know if I see them hitting it off or not, Gabby. I've been thinking a lot about it since I first saw the headlines. I was so unsure how I felt about Bennett at the end of the season. I thought he was entertaining the whole time, but he lost me at that Noah drama. So I just don't know what to make of this. What do you think? Do you have any thoughts?
I do. I have a lot of thoughts. I'm trying to gather them all together. No, I think that Bennett is so funny all the time. He, tries to he does have this very buttoned up, sophisticated personality. And I think it's cute that he says he has a crush on Kelley. I know right after the season, after Matt's season, everyone was saying, oh, Bennett and Kit are the perfect couple because they're like New York socialites who have money and like would probably hit it off. But now that Kelley's moving to New York, and she's a lawyer also in, one of those professions that deals with, all of that, I think they would certainly hit it off. And, to be honest, Kelley, since she dated Peter for a long time, I mean, Peter's goofy, he's quirky, he can be cringy sometimes, and honestly, that also describes Bennett, so it might be perfect.
Okay, that is actually such a good point, Gabby, because what I was struggling with is Peter to me is like got a really young, boyish immaturity, kind of layered in with his charm. And Bennett was so anti-Noah, who was so immature, was constantly sort of asserting himself as a grown-up, as a man. And I just thought, I don't know, that's very different from Peter. But You are so right. There are a lot of very specific similarities in their personalities, even with the fact that there's an age difference and, definitely a career difference and all that. So you're onto something. That could maybe work out. While on the podcast, Bennett did say that they have been communicating, so he wasn't just shooting a totally blind shot in the dark. He said they've been in touch on Instagram. He added he didn't want to put her on blast or anything, but he basically thinks there is, let me see, quote, a lot of good, similar overlap and potentially mutual interest that could be worth exploring. So you kind of have to unpack that there. Basically, he feels like they might have some things in common and it could be worth looking into. He's clearly very interested in exploring it all because, get this, he recently met up with Peter and decided to just put it all out there. He said to him, being the guy that I am, I'm kind of taking things head on, calling spades a spade and going for it. I actually met Peter. And after about the second or third tequila shot, I just threw it out there and said, I'd like to address the elephant in the room. Is it awkward that I have interest in flirting with your ex? So here is the thing. You just can't say that Bennett is not confident. He is bold. I mean, I cannot imagine this conversation.
I know. Oh my goodness. This is so funny because, like you said, they are very similar, but they're also very different. And when I first read this headline, it said something like Bennett asks Peter for his blessing to date Kelley. And so I thought it was this very formal occurrence, something that Bennett would definitely do. But here he's saying, they were out for tequila shots and it just ended up coming out. So I think it's really cute that he did bring it up with him though, and sort of because, it's kind of like your friend. If you want to start dating your friend's ex, that's obviously a conversation you need to have with them, even if you're not the best of friends. I feel like everyone in Bachelor Nation is kind of a big family. So if you're just going to be kind of mixing around in the group and mingling with other people, it's good to let someone know ahead of time and make sure they don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, listen, it's probably this, I'm thinking honestly, with all of the TikToker drama, people dating each other's exes, you always think if only there had been a conversation, right? This is something we see kind of a lot, all things considered, with groups of different various celebrities. And I guess, as bold as it may seem of a strategy to some people, and as much as I certainly don't hope to ever find myself on that end of a conversation, it would be tough, probably was a really smart move. And apparently it worked out pretty well. He didn't reveal, play-by-play. He didn't share too many details, but he did share that it was a positive discussion. He repeated that Peter said, she's someone that I really care about. I always will. But added he technically gave his blessing and said, it seems like you're a great guy. I really appreciate you asking. It was a really nice conversation. So at the end of the day, I have to say, I in particular, I will own this. I tease Peter a lot for being immature, but it sounds like this was a potentially tricky conversation. And he answered in a way that was basically like, this is an ex. I want her to be happy. If that happiness is going to be with you, go for it, which is very mature, I think.
Yeah, it really is. It's good to hear that from Peter and that he didn't sort of, take defense with it or, just have a weird energy about him, the fact that they used to date and honestly not that long ago. So I'm glad that they're, all willing to move on, and obviously he wants her to be happy, like you said. So I think that's great. I think again, just hearing the fact that Bennett had to ask Peter if he could date his ex, or not even date, but just talk and flirt with her. I think it's kind of funny and silly. And Peter, at the end of the day is sure, I mean, do whatever you want. You seem like a great guy, but it was obviously, a good conversation that was had to just make room for there to be no drama in the future, as you were saying. This could have ended up being very bad if there wasn't this conversation. So I'm glad they took steps ahead of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like they are lifelong friends, grew up together, longtime buddies, all hung out, right? They're obviously fresh acquaintances, but I'm kind of getting the feeling that, Bennett probably likes Peter, probably had a little bit of fun with him, and doesn't want to potentially ruin that blooming friendship, if you will. Because, I mean, listen, you guys, all of this is super interesting, but we do have to address the elephant in the room. Bennett made it totally clear that as of right now, he and Kelley have not been on a date. They have not met up in person, at all. He's obviously interested in doing so and putting it out into the universe, but last we heard, Kelley is currently maybe dating someone. We haven't officially heard that has ended. Last month, she hinted on Caitlin Bristow's Off the Vine podcast that she's not entirely single. She hasn't dove into a brand new, super formal, serious relationship. But she did say she has been on a few dates with a man who isn't involved in the entertainment business. And at the time, and since then, Kelley has kept the details of this mystery man completely private. Bennett is aware of that. They did ask him, and he basically said he just wants to wait and see how things pan out. So again, we don't even have a lot of sourced rumors about this mystery man, about what their relationship looks like, how they met. They have been able to keep it very, very private, if it is still, of course, developing and becoming a more serious thing. So Bennett's timing isn't perfect here. It has been reported Kelley was offered a spot in Paradise and turned it down to sort of see where things go with this guy. We've talked before about how Bennett would be a really great character in Paradise. Obviously, nothing is set in stone in Paradise until they really give us that final announcement of who it's going to be. So I do have a little bit of curiosity, could Bennett be gearing up to go to Paradise? Could he be putting this out there because he hopes that Kelley reconsiders and maybe ends up on the beach? I mean, I don't know. Is there a strategy he's pulling right now?
Yeah, definitely. I think if these rumors are swirling that Bennett and Kelley might want to get together or try things out, I think the producers are certainly going to give them a call, if they haven't already, to say, hey, so do you guys both want to work this out down on the beach? I think that would be great. And I really understand why Kelley would probably not want to do that. We've heard stories in the past about her and the producers not getting along super well together. And especially if this new guy she is talking to, potentially dating, is not in entertainment at all. It seems like she just really wants to keep things on the down low right now, considering she had such a public relationship with Peter in the past. And that's hard to deal with a lot of the time. Every move you make, everywhere you go that you're together or not together, it's going to be in the headlines. So I think she's probably just really enjoying this time when she's not dating a public figure and seeing how that works out instead. So in terms of that, I don't see them down in Paradise, and I don't even see her dating Bennett anytime soon. But you never know what could happen down the line.
Yeah, truly, it's anybody's guess. It's going to be really interesting to see where things go from here. You guys, we want to know, in a perfect world, right? Let's remove all the complications. Just personality-wise, do you think that Kelley and Bennett could click, could be a couple, could potentially have a spark? Let us know in the chat. And if you haven't already sent in your questions, your comments, make sure you get to it, because we have reached the part of the show, my favorite part, where we get to hear from you guys. Honestly, some of you out there have your finger on the pulse of Bachelor Nation even faster than we do. It is truly just a collaborative gang of detectives. So any news you got, send it our way. We want to hear from you. First up, we have Tiffany here. She is tuning in. She says, hello, ladies. Hello, Tiffany. Thank you so much for tuning in live with us. We appreciate it and hope you are having a blast in Bachelor Nation this lovely Wednesday.
All right, Jessica is also tuning in. She says, I think Blake is wrong. So I think she's talking about the fact that the Bachelor franchise will end after these next few seasons that are planned. Jessica, we also definitely hope at least that Blake is wrong, because we want, more seasons to talk about on here, and Bachelor Nation to continue to keep growing and getting better. So hopefully they're on the upturn and can fix, everything to make the seasons even better and better.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. All right, this user says, but why did they talk about finding seniors love? They kept showing that too. Oh my goodness, this is so hilarious. I forgot about this. Yeah, I don't remember what the spinoff is going to be called right at this moment, but they are, I think, still trying to at some point put together a version of The Bachelor for elderly singles, which I think at least in my opinion, is hilarious, is adorable. I have to imagine there have been a lot of roadblocks with people in that age bracket, you know, just due to the current state of the world, the global pandemic. Safety has got to be, you know, priority number one. So I do not know that we'll be seeing this in the near future, but I certainly hope they don't shelf the concept entirely, because if we could get a bunch of wonderful, charming, adorable, vaccinated people together and find some love, that would just be, oh my God, I think it would be so cute. Would you tune in, Gabby? Am I crazy?
It's so cute. This is the one I'm waiting for. I hope if, you know, The Bachelor kind of goes downhill, that they at least get this season out so we can enjoy it.
Second act, finding love for the elderly.
There you go. All right, here Katie says hello as well. Thank you so much, Katie, for also tuning into this live. Of course, in the future, we want to hear all of your questions and comments about Bachelor Nation, so you can jump in on the conversation with us. So let us know everything that you have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Next up from Teddy. Okay, here we go. You guys are so on it. He says filming ends next week. I 100% believe it. I don't know where he's got that sourced from, but I think that tracks for sure. It feels like she's been in New Mexico for a few minutes now, right? We know these seasons move crazy fast. So yeah, I'm sure Katie's gonna have to start that, like, hopefully she walks away from this in love, right? And happy, and at the very least with somebody, if not engaged. So she might have to start that process of hiding out, making no mistakes on Venmo, making no mistakes with her engagement ring.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep a close eye out after next week on Instagram and all of that. All right, this user says, Bennett is becoming that creepy guy. Okay, there were definitely elements of creepy Bennett during the season when it was airing, and you know, he is who he is. He's definitely cringy sometimes, so it just depends how you take it. If you think it's really cute and funny, or if you think it's creepy. It just all depends on the vibe that you get. We obviously haven't met him in person, but I hope the best for him and maybe Kelley one day.
Yeah, I really think he's one of those characters. I do want to learn more about him because I just don't know how I feel. Ben says, hey guys, surely any decision to cancel The Bachelor would be based on its popularity and ongoing financial success, and how that is, I'm assuming, happening or shaping. Sorry, Ben, your comment cut off, but yes, I definitely think, listen, at the end of the day, if the show is making a ton of money, ABC is going to be like, amazing. Press record. Let's keep going. But if for whatever reason viewership drops off, ratings go down to a level, I mean, shows fluctuate, right? So this would have to be like an astronomical shift, which I actually am pretty hopeful. I think a lot of fans, while they may be in varying stages of excitement, want the best for the franchise, want to see it succeed. So I do think that with Katie's season, with Paradise, with Michelle's season, as long as we can get it right, there's going to be a ton of success. I'm not worried about it going anywhere, personally. I don't know about everybody else, but that's just me. Let's see what else we have here in the chat. We may be nearing the end, you guys, so if you haven't sent your comments yet, make sure you go ahead and do so. Ooh, Gabby, you have one from Shared News. This must be our producer with a question to ask. I love it.
This is a great question. When will we get a better Katie promo? Okay, so we did talk about how the original promo that they came out with Katie seemed very rushed, very, you know, low budget. They kind of just threw something together to get her face, you know, on people's feeds and on their phones again. So I don't know. I feel like we might not get a better promo from Katie, since it seems like they're wrapping up everything and we haven't seen anything yet. But maybe when they're, you know, officially announcing the date and when it's nearing closer to that premiere date, maybe we'll see something a little bit more glitz and glam then. What do you think, Fiona?
I hope so. I just have to say, I think that Katie has such an amazing personality. I didn't care about the skirt, the rose, the date, like none of it really like stood out to me the way it did to some other people. What bummed me out was I just felt like we didn't see her personality. That was the only thing. I was ready to see like her vibe for the season. And honestly, I just don't think they were trying to accomplish that in that promo. They just wanted something brief, short, to the point to get that date out there. So I have hopes. I think your timing could be totally right, Gabby, as we get a little closer to some more announcements. But I do have hopes for a bit of a, I don't know, just more fun teaser from Katie, because we all love her so much. I want to see more. We're already so eager, I guess. You guys, that is everything we have time to get to today. If we did not get to your comment, have no fear. Put it down in the chat for us. We will check those out. We're going to be going live again for you very soon. Don't you worry. On that note, we want to know what you guys think of all of these crazy headlines. Today was definitely unique, you guys. We got a lot of fun stuff happening in Bachelor Nation. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos, any future lives. We're going to be covering all things Bachelor Nation in the days to come. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta. If you want to come say hi on our socials, you can follow me at Fiona Zaring. Gabby, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can come follow me at Gabby Ganta.
Amazing. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in live with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.